Justin, thank you for taking a little time to meet in the undisclosed bunker here in West Cobb. So I appreciate you giving me this time this morning to spend with me, and really appreciate your friendship and everything that you've been doing to serve so many people, serve at the church, serve my family, and so we greatly appreciate it. But I want to start.
Appreciate you as well.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. We always like to start our time with a little bit of scripture, help us to focus ourselves on the Lord. And I want to read to you Proverbs 10:9. It says, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out." Solomon writes this, and Solomon is the wisest man who ever lived, besides the Lord Jesus Christ, obviously. And this idea of integrity, not swerving to the right or to the left, but staying straight on a path, letting your yes be yes and your no be no. This is how Jesus phrases it, and Jesus' half-brother James picks up the same phraseology in his writings. But I can't help but think of the example in the book of Luke. They're taking Jesus through a trial, and Pilate first examines him. Jesus remains silent. He doesn't say anything, which is just fascinating because you're on trial. I mean, high officials are questioning you, and you're not opening your mouth. And Pilate sends him over to Herod, because Herod was in Jerusalem. Herod starts to question him. Neither one of these guys find any guilt in Jesus at all. But the crowd, the scribes and the Pharisees, are pressing in on Pilate. Crucify him. He's a guilty man. You can see this peer pressure, and peer pressure is a booger. I mean, it can really force us in different directions because it's difficult. It's difficult to stand strong when you weather different storms from different sides and different oppositions. And Pilate clearly vacillates, and he gives in to the people. Now he's probably up for re-election or something, so he's got to do something to appease the people because he needs the votes coming up. But the amazing part of the whole story of Jesus going through that trial is he did remain in his integrity. He never switched to the right or to the left. And the people say, "Give to us Barabbas," which would have been one of the rituals and ceremonies of the day. You could ask for a prisoner to be released. And so this super religious crowd of scribes and Pharisees say, "Hey, give us Barabbas, who led an insurrection, was found guilty, and is about to be crucified. Give us him and take Jesus." Barabbas is guilty. Jesus is not guilty. Barabbas, in his man-centered flesh and pride, leads a rebellion and is guilty for it. And Jesus, in his humility, is like a lamb led before its shears. He didn't open his mouth, Isaiah 53. And it is diametrically opposed to the way in which Barabbas acted. And yet the people and the scribes and Pharisees call for the guilty man to be released. And as we know, they release Barabbas. Jesus goes to the cross and dies on the cross in our place and for our sins. We are Barabbas. We're guilty. He's not guilty. And yet he goes to that cross and takes all of our guilt, all of our shame, all of our sin upon his shoulders. He's the only one who's ever truly walked in integrity when we walked in crookedness. And yet he washes it away for us. What an incredible story of God's grace. And I read all those things and say those things because the gospel is something that changes us from the inside out. It's not the externals that force us to try to behave in a certain way.
Absolutely.
But it's the change of the heart by the regeneration of the Holy Spirit. I read those things and I say those things to start our conversation because I look at you, your family, I look at y'all's business, and I see people of integrity. And obviously, I've interacted with a number of people at Hardy, and full of integrity. I was just text messaging back and forth with one of your sales guys the other day, guy I bought our cars from, and I just want to check in on him. How you doing? How are sales going this year?
Oh, that's awesome.
And he says, sales are pretty decent for the store in general. He said, but for me in particular, he said, I haven't been selling that many cars. And he said, this trusting the Lord with all your heart thing's pretty difficult. and I said, I'm right there with you, man. I get it. I said, let's pray. And then I said, let's just see what the Lord will do in the days ahead. Now, this was like on a Tuesday. Thursday, it was a monsoon. It rained all day. He sends me a text message on Friday morning and said, it rained all day yesterday. And I was expecting like, oh no, it's not going to be good. He's not. And he said, I sold 2 cars in the rain. He said, thanks be to God. Thanks
That's when they're serious about buying if they show up in the rain. Yeah.
That's right. I really need a car.
A lot less tire kickers in the
rain. Yeah. So anyway, how did you guys end up here? How did your family get to the Paulding County area? Kind of give us a little bit of background on all that.
Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words, and fall short all the time, and thank the Lord that He lifts us up and restores us. So
yeah.
But yeah, so no, I come from a long line of Paulding Countyans. My family's been in the area on my mom's side for 9 generations at least, I think. And then my dad's side, I'm not quite sure how it goes back, but how far, but I know it goes back at least 3 or 4. My dad grew up in Atlanta, but his family grew up in the New Georgia area.
Okay.
Or my grandfather did.
Okay.
And then he worked for railroad, and they grew up in Atlanta. My dad went to West Fulton High School, which no longer exists.
Nope.
But
yeah.
So he been blessed with great men in my life. Was getting my hair cut one day.
Lucky dog.
You're
a lucky dog.
Yeah. Her sons had lost both their grandfathers, and they were having a discussion about it. She told them, you guys have no excuse not to turn out. And I was like, I felt that blessing in my life where I've been fortunate to be raised by good men. But so my dad was a little bit of a city slicker that visioned himself as a country boy. So I don't know if it was visiting family back in Paulding County back in the day, but he, wanted farm animals and everything. So
wow.
I've heard stories of he and my mom having pigs and stuff like that when before I think I came along. But and they had goats and donkeys and things like that. So, but
how did they meet? How did your parents meet?
Yeah, they were set up by a mutual friend.
Okay.
So my mom had a really close friend, and her husband worked at Bell South, where my dad spent a lot of his career. And they were set up and met in Panama City Beach, Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. And so my mom lived in, after they married, my mom moved in with my dad in Powder Springs for a couple of years, and then they built over on the compound, as people like to say. So,
yep.
Yeah.
I understand. My family all lived on 17 acres for a little while. Then people started moving off the reservation.
Yeah.
So, David Koresh is no longer there.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, that's pretty cool. 9 generations. That is a long time.
Yeah.
So where does that stem back? I mean, obviously, like for the Knoxes, we know there's like 3 brothers who got off the boat from Scotland, and then 2 stayed in Georgia and went over to one went to Alabama. But do you know kind of even past that line?
The first ancestor that moved to the area came from North Carolina.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, but I don't really know beyond that. But I know we have some Revolutionary and Civil War history in our family.
Yeah, there's a cemetery over there with a lot of guys from the Civil War that are family members of mine over there in Paulding County off of 278 92.
Yeah.
And so it's a small world. It's kind of funny to think about how there's such this connected piece that takes us all the way back, and yet we think that's a long time ago. But just a couple of generations back, you're like, life was a lot different than it is today.
Absolutely. It's amazing the pace of change in the world.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so what were you born? Probably 78, 79, 80? Which year were you?
80.
80, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yep. That sounds about right. 80s.
Right on that millennial line.
Yeah.
I like to
You're on the cusp.
claim Gen X before the millennials. But.
Yeah. All right, so you grow up in Paulding County. You're an alum of East Paulding. You're a Raider, right?
That's right.
Which has had a lot of great sports athletes come out of there. I mean, it's been pretty cool to watch that. What was life like in the 80s and 90s in Paulding County?
Looking back, especially my high school experience, didn't appreciate it at the time, but I had some really wonderful teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I think I graduated 184.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we had some more in the class before, senior year, and all that ended up graduating. So around 200 or so, but it was a great size.
Yeah.
And we had wonderful teachers and, super prepared to move on to the, next challenges. And, so I look back at that time very thankful. My mom was always big on education and involved, and I think saw some things that were changing in the school systems and fought against it, and was vocal. And she's had a lot of people come back to her, decades later, and say, well, you were right about that. But she's always she's a wise woman, and always, obviously cared for us and what our education was like, and always encouraged us, to do well in school and do our best in everything we do. But it was a great place to grow up. Sense of community. Yeah. You knew a lot of the people in the community, and we still do. But you would go to dinner out to a restaurant or something and know a lot of people there. And now it's, so many people, the area's grown so much
that
it
has. Yeah.
It's not the same type of, recognition of who your neighbors and who's in the community, which it still exists. It's just different.
Yeah. No, it has grown exponentially, especially Paulding County.
Yeah.
It has been booming for years, and it doesn't have that small town feel as it used to, but there's still that core, that foundation that's kind of embedded in there. There are those certain people who've been here for a long time, and you know each other. You've had relationships for years.
A lot of good people.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. 1982, 83, my dad started a church. I guess that's called Drag Strip, maybe?
Used to be. Used to be. East Paulding Drive.
Yeah, okay. Okay. But it used to come right down there, and it would filter out onto Dallas Highway. And there was a little cinder block building right there. Obviously, Babcock's furniture and all that stuff was not there back in the day. There was just woods, and there was a little cinder block building. And they literally started the church, and it was inside the Paulding County line. Almost on the dividing line of Cobb and Paulding. And it's pretty amazing. You'd have people coming from Paulding to the church, and you'd have some people from Cobb coming to the church. And it was just a small town feel. People knew each other. There wasn't as many. Obviously, the Olympics changed a lot of things for us. When that came, there was a lot of development, a lot of businesses, a lot of growth. All right, so you said something a minute ago, and then you said something else that I think we should really kind of double click on for a second, and that is you come from a long line of quality men who walked in integrity, men who poured into their wives and their kids. And then you said, and my mom was really big on education, and she was involved. That parent involvement in a child's life, unquestionably, is worth far more than we can really put a price tag on in our day. And your parents obviously loved you dearly and did that for you. And now you get to see, now that you're in your 40s, you look back and go, I had no idea what I was being blessed with. Like,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
just that rootedness, that groundedness. I mean, obviously both Christians and pouring in the Christian faith to you, but also raising you as an individual who says, man, above all else, I love and care for you. And having that kind of assurance enables you to do some incredible things. And you're not even aware of it, really. You don't even know that you have that fuel underneath you to do things that you've never done before. And now you're getting to do the same thing with your kids. And obviously your kids, you're doing an incredible job with them. How you guys are pouring in. You and Laura are doing a great job. But it really does. It's generational, isn't it? Like we're learning so much subconsciously from our parents. And then one day we kind of come around and go, they were actually a lot smarter than I thought they were.
Oh, absolutely. And, we definitely try and give our best. And so much is in the Lord's hands. But I'm proud of my kids, and they're a blessing. And, pray for them and, encourage them, and, praise the Lord keeps them on the right path, and that they bear fruit. But they've been a huge blessing in mine and Laura's lives for sure. And super beyond thankful for my parents and grandparents, and I think the last sermon you were talking about, it's not works that we're saved by, but we should bear fruit and show it. And my dad was not a big churchgoer. My mom was the one that took us to church. But my dad was a man of faith, and I saw that through his sickness before he passed, and his perseverance and his faith, and seeing people live that and bear it out is, I think the greatest witness. But he, thankful to my mother for, raising us in the church. And she, a friend of mine phrased it this way. He said, when I was growing up, I had a drug problem. My mom drugged me to church Wednesday, Sunday night.
Yep.
And that's how me and my sister grew up, Wednesday nights and Sunday church. And we had a great church family. It was First Baptist Church of Dallas.
Yeah.
And, there were, I think, like 17 boys around my age or something. So
oh my goodness.
We were known,
Yeah. I bet. That youth pastor.
Yeah. I mean, I have lifelong friends from that. And my closest friend, I grew up like a brother. So the neighborhood that my mom and dad in Powder Springs first lived in, a couple doors down, was the Toole family. And Ben was born 3 days before me.
Wow.
And so, instant playmate, and our mom stayed friends, and they went to church with us. So, and my mom's legally blind. It's just a genetic eye disease. And but being around her and knowing her, I mean, I would forget sometimes. She compensates so well. And but Phyllis would take us to church with Ben and Jessica, me and my sister Natalie. And so we're close to this day, and I think of him like a brother. But we had a great church family growing up. It was a huge blessing as well.
Man. All right, so let's talk for a second about maybe someone in your family that a lot of people might know and recognize, and that obviously is your grandfather. When did and where did he come up with the idea? How did it all evolve to start Hardy? I think it's just always been a staple in this community. And I don't think a lot of people understand the backstory or when it got started. It just seems to have always been there, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I mean, my grandfather was a self-made man. He grew up poor, and they had a donkey named Rudy, and he they had a little family farm, and I don't know quite all what my great grandfather did, but I knew that life was hard sometimes, and but my grandfather started out working for a cabinet company. And he actually got a lot of folks on from Paulding County that would go work for Delmar Cabinet Company.
Wow.
And he's one thing, he was a hard worker. I mean, that man, knew the value of hard work. And he became really efficient at building cabinets, and they moved him up to manager, and he got some of his family on there. And, that was, I think, a good learning experience for him in management and dealing with people. And so he worked there. They also worked at drag strips. We were talking about drag strip road earlier. But he took over operating that, I want to say in the 50s maybe.
Wow.
But they would run a drag strip in Dallas on Saturday, and then the whole family would go run a drag strip in Macon, Georgia. Wow. I believe that's correct. But they were always together, always working together, and they were super tight family unit. My grandfather, grandmother, Jeanette, and the kids. And they would, assemble the trophies and work the concession stand and all that kind of stuff. And so I can tell you more about that later, but I grew up working at the drag strip with my cousins and everything in Dallas. That we ran that until 2005.
Okay.
But he went from there into construction, and he also had a mobile home dealership.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he built some neighborhoods in Paulding County, and I think he always had a love for cars, and he wanted to be a dealer. The Jones family is a big family in Paulding County, and there were two brothers, one on the Ford store and one on the Chevy store. Joe Jones owned Ford, and Marvin Jones owned the Chevrolet Buick, and I think it was Chevrolet Buick Pontiac.
Okay.
Even when Joe owned it. And Marvin owned it. And my grandfather approached him after having some success with home building and the mobile home sales, and expressed interest. And Marvin was actually interested in selling it, but he didn't believe my grandfather had the capital, or I don't know if he questioned his ability, but he didn't think he could do it regardless. And so he refused to sell it to my grandfather. So so Marvin sold it to John Bleakley, Bleakley Ford, that was in Lithia Springs.
Right.
And Bleakley was a Ford guy, and a bit of an Irishman with a temper, the way the story's told. So after a year of dealing with General Motors, they didn't get along very well. So my grandfather approached him and said, "Hey, would you like to sell it? And he said yes. And that was 1978. So he bought it and became Hardy Chevrolet Pontiac Buick in 1978. And they had a home on Lake Burton at the time. They sold it, and everybody in the family, still talks. Oh man, I wish he didn't have to sell the house.
Yep.
But yeah, he poured that into the business, and he put everything he had into it, and worked hard and made it a success. He and the family that's been involved since 1978. So approaching 50-year anniversary.
So I hear a recipe here, which is phenomenal, and I hear this from other people as well. But the recipe is you can see God's timing. Like, right, he wasn't able to purchase it at one time. It goes on to another guy. But in God's providence and the right timing, he is given this opportunity. But now your grandfather has to say, okay, I'm going to have to liquidate some assets and take a risk.
Yeah.
Because that's really what man sees is, okay, this is a risk. You have something very stable and you could just keep living this kind of lifestyle, but he wanted to do something more.
Yeah.
And so this recipe of putting in God's providential timing, his blessings, his grace, and when he opens those doors, as Jesus says, ask, seek, and knock, and the door will be open, right? When the door is open, now we've got to walk by faith. Sure, we've got to count the cost. We got to do the ledger. We got to figure out some things in order to do it. But we've also got to trust the Lord.
Absolutely.
And what a testimony that your grandfather would take that step of faith and get into a business that he had not been doing his whole life, and give it a shot, give it a go. And I think we kind of live in a day where there are a lot of people who are apprehensive to do the uncomfortable or to step out or to try something new, especially when we have to put up some of our assets in order to do it. And God has blessed his obedience. And I'm talking from just an outsider standpoint. I mean, my dad bought, I think the first truck he bought from Hardy was in maybe 83, 82, something like that. And Hardy won him over from day one. I mean, he's always bought a vehicle from Hardy. And it's like, if any one of us as kids bought a car from somewhere else, he would just shame us. Like, what are you doing? Why would you go anywhere else?
That's a wise man.
He's a wise man. That's right. Yeah. Wow. That's it's a story of encouragement to encourage the rest of us, because it reminds me of the story of Abraham, right? Abraham is living in his father's land. He's got everything he needs at his fingertips. It's going really well. It's very comfortable. And then God comes to Abram and says, I want you to get out, leave your country and leave your kindred. And you're going to go to a place. You don't know where you're going, but you got to follow me. You have an idea about some things that you're going to have to do, but you got to get uncomfortable. You got to go do something different. And Abraham had a decision to make. Do I stay in the comfortable? Do I stay doing what I've been doing and I know it? Or do I take that step? Do I take that step and am I obedient to what God's calling me to do? Mm-hmm. Thanks be to God that your grandfather took those steps, because Hardy has been a blessing to many people in this area for a long time. And I would even say, me being a coach at Harrison, there's one thing I know I'm going to see every year, and it's that orange sign. It says Hardy on it, on the wall.
He picked a good color. It stands out.
It does. And the deer and the color, you can't miss it. And it's the same tag, I swear, from when I was a kid. I see it on trucks all the time. There was a landscaping company cutting grass in my neighborhood one day, and on the front of the truck was the Hardy tag. But, I remember growing up in this area, and you get in the car and you're listening to radio, which is kind of a funny thing because I don't think a lot of people listen to radio anymore, but they used to listen to the radio, and I'll never forget, I felt like I knew him.
Yeah.
Because he was always on. And it was like that one saying, we love you and we need you.
Yeah. I mean, he was genuine.
Yeah.
I think that's why it came across. My understanding is that the slogan, he was doing an interview or cutting a commercial, and the radio host said, well, Charles, is there anything else you want to say? And he paused and he was like, yeah, we love you and we need you. And, it just stuck from there. But, I mean, he felt that way. I mean, he knew that the business was nothing without customers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so obviously every business needs its customers, but I think in the sense of we love you, it's, we want to treat you like you want to be, we want to treat you like we want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
We value you, we love you. And I think that stuck around because he genuinely meant it and it came across, and, I don't think you can say that non-genuinely and it really stick.
Yeah. No. And it goes back to actions speak louder than words. You heard those words, but then you go to Hardy and you actually experience it. Like they literally, and when you're interacting with anyone, they're there to help you. They want to serve you because you guys take a different approach. You want lifelong customers, not just to make today's sale.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is where success happens, taking the long view approach than just the short term. So when you're growing up, you get to be around the car business. You're seeing what's happening. Was it something that you were kind of drawn to? Did you like cars? Were you interested in cars? What were some of your interests and hobbies when you're growing up?
Yeah, well, I loved basketball. I would have loved to have been an NBA player, where that obviously was not in the cards, No, I was around the dealerships. I didn't work a lot in it. I did some small summer jobs where I swept the parts department, and then they had to clean out some, old obsolescence parts inventory, and did some odd jobs around there. My dad started a Firestone store in '86. He retired early from Bell South, so I worked there for my dad, doing menial tasks, when I was young. And then kind of my job from 12 to 21, 22 was working at the drag strip. So started off in the concession stand, and then, thought I was a big shot getting to get out of the concession stand and hand out tickets, the times to the drivers when they came back around. And then I worked in the staging lanes. And then as I got older, I helped keep the grounds and bush hogged and weed eated and all that kind of stuff, which was good being a student. It was a weekend job,
right?
April through November. So it was very hot in the summer. But so I didn't work at the dealership or wasn't there, around day-to-day operations a whole lot growing up. We went by there, of course, and I knew some of the employees and things like that. But I didn't work a steady job there. But being around it was fun. I'm not a big gearhead. It's just as I've gotten older and been in the business, I like cars and I like to be around them. But I have cousins that love cars, love engines, taking them apart and all that kind of thing. But that was never, my interest growing up. Never. I worked at the drag strip, but I never, got into racing cars, and some of them like raced junior dragsters and things like that. But, and I admire those guys that have that mechanical inclination. And I I do enjoy figuring out how something works.
Yeah.
But it's fun to be around, cars and Corvettes and things like that, and to look at them and see people's enjoyment from those kind of things. So
yeah. Wow. Well, again, I think, isn't it amazing how in God's providence you're around cars, you're around these things. It's not like something that you're engrossed in. Obviously, as you just said, you'd rather than a basketball player in the NBA. But God allows us to be around things and kind of pull us in directions that are not necessarily the things that we want to do. And I say that because obviously growing up as a pastor's kid, I never wanted to be a pastor. I never wanted to be a preacher, any of those things. Actually, I hardly ever spoke when I was a kid, so it was like the furthest thing from me. But I was always around it. I was always around pastors. I was always seeing how they loved and cared for the flock, and it just became something you kind of insulated with. It's like, oh, you know these things.
yeah,
But it was never the first thing in my mind. Hey, let's go be a pastor.
yeah,
And yet God was doing some of the similar things for you, right? I mean, just all along the way, you're around this industry, but he's also forming you and shaping you to do something a little bit different to help in that industry.
absolutely.
Talk about what's your role there now, and what do you do for Hardy, and how did you get there? Even taking a step back after you left from high school, where did you go to school, and then kind of what was your training to get to where you're at today?
Yeah. So, I enjoyed school. And then after graduation from East Paulding, I went to University of Georgia. Mm-hmm. Go Dogs.
Yeah.
And, I knew I wanted to do business and, took some different classes, and I ended up in accounting, which I enjoy. Did a 5-year program. So I graduated with, Bachelor of Arts in Business and Master's in Accounting.
Wow.
And after graduation, I went to work for KPMG in Atlanta.
Okay.
So one of the Big Four accounting firms.
Okay.
So in between starting there, I took the CPA exam and passed it, and then started working there and got my 2 years experience. So I got my license, which was a great experience. I got exposure to a lot of different types of business. And that is something that I enjoy. I enjoy just the business aspect inside of it. So I majored in emphasis in taxation.
Okay.
So I worked on the tax side. And at the University of Georgia, I met my wife, Laura.
Nice.
And yeah, we were in a sociology class our freshman year, second semester together. And I was a little intimidated to ask her out, so I asked her friend out that we had been kind of, on the same row with.
Yeah.
And, maybe that made her a little jealous. I don't know, or gave me the courage to ask her out. But her friend and I didn't work out. Went on one date. But yeah, I had a date night coming up, and I asked her to go, and that was in our sophomore year. And so we've been together ever since 1999.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Fall of 99.
Wow.
So so we were married by that point. Tax busy seasons are pretty brutal. It's 65 plus hours a week, especially in those firms. They kind of grind you like a law firm does, the associates. And so I was working a ton of hours, but the deal was when it was non-busy season, you got extra time and things like that. So while I was working there, they laid off some folks, especially from the audit side. So they started putting us on out-of-town audits between tax busy seasons. Oof. And Laura was like, hey, we're married. I don't ever see you. And, it was pretty grueling as well. So we had talked about starting a family and, maybe moving back home, and just things started kind of coming together. I reached out to my grandfather, and he, was very encouraging and said that he would love to have me in the business. And so we started building a home back here, and I started in August of 2005. So coming up on 21 years.
Yeah. When did you guys get married?
We got married in 2004.
2004. Okay. All right. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you come back here. You build a house. You come back here to work. What was that change like? Where did you guys move from, and then coming out here to Paulding?
Yeah, so we were in unincorporated DeKalb. So
okay.
I didn't have to pay city taxes.
That's good. Spoken like a true accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's a little bit of a difference coming from there to Paulding. And where's your wife from? Where did
Laura grew up in she grew up in East Cobb.
Okay.
And her father Ray got a job in Australia, Bell South. So we have a lot of Bell South on both sides of the family. But they were starting a telecom in Australia.
Wow.
So for her middle school years, they moved to Australia, and she lived there.
Wow.
In Sydney. And then for high school, when that was over, they could have continued, or I think maybe Peru was an option to start another telecom, but they decided to come back. And so they moved to Roswell. So she graduated from Roswell High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it fascinating in God's providence that she spends that time in Australia, and then God moves her back here at just the time to graduate and then go to college, and to bring two people from different backgrounds, different places, bring them together. I mean, obviously you asked the wrong person out the first time, but nonetheless, it was God putting that together, moving those pieces. Something we share in common is, my wife, Adrian, graduated from Pope High School, and I'm from Harrison, and I'm a West Cobb redneck, and she's an East Cobb snob. She's not really a snob, but she's from that side of town, which are polar opposites, right? But in God's providence, he's taking these opposites, putting them together. And, if we were exactly the same, it would be no use for one of us, right? So
absolutely.
So it's great how God takes a man who's completely different than a woman, and even different areas where they grow up, but brings them together and makes the two become one flesh.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful. She's been the biggest blessing, and just wonderful wife, and great mother, and couldn't ask for any more.
Yeah, which kind of takes me to just wanted to ask briefly, but how about your grandmother, your grandfather's wife? Your grandfather accomplished some pretty incredible things in his lifetime, but none of us as men do anything great in this life without having an amazing woman right beside us.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was she like?
She's every bit of that. She's they just both had incredible energy. And my grandmother still does. She's approaching 90 years old.
Wow.
And just recently is having some back problems, and it's really hard on her because she's always just gotten up and gone. I mean, she still was getting up on her treadmill and walking 3 miles.
Oh
and,
my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, they were definitely a pair, and definitely accomplished things together. And my grandfather loved my grandmother, and doted on her. But she is a nonstop worker too. I mean, she came up toughest as well. They lived in Douglasville, and her mom raised her and her two brothers by herself.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's the time period on that? You know, like when that would have been? 40s, 30s,
Yeah,
20s,
30s and 40s.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, which would have been unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
That's a strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. I was born on my great grandmother's birthday, and so we had a special connection, and I remember her very, very fondly. I knew her. I think she passed maybe like 11, 12 years old, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So I knew her well and got to know her. And my daughter Lily is named after her. But yeah, my grandmother is super strong, very, very strong woman. And her and my grandfather married early, and they went on a double date, and she was the date of his friend. And by the end of the night, he was like, "Hey, if we go out again, I'm going out with her." And so they got married young age. People did back, then, and started having kids and built a family. And that family was always central.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, my grandfather and grandmother would cook. Nana and Papa, that's how we grew up referring to them. And so Nana and Papa cooked for the whole family on Sundays. So 5 kids, their spouses, 10 grandchildren.
Whoa.
Whatever friends wanted to be there, fish fries, but that was after long week of work,
man.
Right? And
yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that was always super important that everybody get together. So that was a Sunday staple. Growing up, always for me was we always went to Sunday night supper.
A lot of people would think, man, that is a lot of extra work, right? But they saw it as an investment,
Mm-hmm.
which trickles down to even how it works itself out into Hardy Chevrolet. I mean, that's the same thing, right? People matter. And doing that for the family just pours through the generations to show, if there's one thing that we've got to put central, and that is obviously the Lord and people. Almost like Jesus said, love God and love people. Mm-hmm. And they were living that out. That's incredible. We don't have a whole lot of extra time coming up. We're running a little short here, but I don't want to hold you too long. But I do want to ask you a couple of questions, and I think these are things people are pondering, wondering about. There's obviously this revolution of AI in our day. I'm sure when things changed years ago where people moved into cities and you had manufacturing and plants, I mean, that was a big shift in the everyday lifestyle instead of being out in the country. People started to freak out when the internet came on the scene. How is this going to affect life, business, these kind of things? And now we're seeing AI, these large language models that really are making business succinct in certain ways. I was listening to a guy speak the other day. He's one of the head tech guys out in Silicon Valley, and he said there's jobs that guys used to do to write script that's no longer needed. You literally can have AI do it, and you can have 10 different scripts running at one time. So you've done away with 10 people's jobs, so to speak, and they're able to process things so much faster. Now, you still need a human there to watch some of these things and carry out other functions. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman the other day about how it's affecting the road business. How is AI interacting and changing things there? Do you guys see anything happening? Are there any changes already taking place or things to come in the automotive industry?
Yeah, certainly. It's definitely impacting it, especially communication with customers. And, just recently had a managers meeting, and everybody's free to voice their opinion, and there's, some options we're looking at. And there's big debate going on about, not losing the value of talking to a person. But it's a tool that we have to learn how to use. Because, we can't be on and available 24/7, 365.
No.
We have to take breaks to eat. We're human. We got to, sleep.
That's right.
Rest. But, AI is, programmed correctly, can be available 24/7 to answer questions.
Yeah.
And, how do you offer that ability but keeping your core values and valuing people and not losing the human touch. So yeah, we're looking for ways to integrate it, but not replace.
Yeah.
So I guess say enhance.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's our mindset right now, is how do we enhance what we're doing to become more efficient? And we're using it in different places. But not fully integrating it yet, without testing the waters. So there's been some examples of some in the industry that have kind of jumped in, and then it kind of blows up. It's not, I don't know if it's the ability of AI is there. So I think it's marrying it to what you want it to do for you without, compromising, conveying your culture, answering it the way you want it to, and then putting limits on where you want it to stop. Because even from 3 months ago, it's vastly improved and different from what it was. So I think that's going to be the struggle going forward, is, how to best use it as a tool to enhance and complement. But what do you lose if you let it replace, and especially too quickly? So I think you have to approach it with caution and wisdom. But it's a reality that's already on us. So, how do you kind of, just use wisdom in using any tool, I think, and not surrender what's important.
As Christians, and it's not just specific to Christians, but it can be for all people. But Christians, we have to take the mindset of anything in life, something new comes on the scene because of sin. We either want to do two things. We either want to completely reject something, or we want to totally receive something. And so sin pushes us to the poles. But Christianity is something different, because we're given discernment and we can actually redeem things. So we don't have to reject. We don't have to totally receive, but we can redeem things. We can take them, and you just described this perfectly, taking y'all's business model and saying, how can we use this tool to integrate so that it enhances, it helps serve the customer, but yet we still have this human connection. And theologically speaking, humans are made in God's image and likeness. So there's no replacing the human. We've got to have the human aspect. We want to, and that's why I do what I do right here, just sitting down with people to talk, because, wow, it's incredible just to sit here and get to talk to you, a human, listen to what's going on in your life, what's happened in your story. But we want that so desperately. We don't want to have a phone conversation with a bot. And that happened to my wife the other day. We called the doctor's office, and this conversation went on for like 4 minutes. And then My wife's asking the same question. It's trying to answer it. And then all of a sudden, Adrian looks at me and says, I think this is a bot on the phone.
Yeah.
And I said, I think it is too. But it like totally tricked us. We didn't know it.
Yeah, it's super convincing.
It really was convincing. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I think that helps others who are watching this with their own business, with their own lifestyle. Like, right, we can take something and we can redeem it. How can we use this to glorify God? How can we use it to serve and care for others? And the minute that it starts to sever those relationships or to do anything that's contra what we're trying to do to serve and care for others, we have to put a governor on it and change it, so to speak. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but as I think about your story, I think about how the Lord has been faithful in your life, your family. We look at this wonderful business that obviously you're in today. And by the way, what exactly do you do for the company now?
Yeah, sorry, you asked me that earlier.
That's okay.
So I'm the CFO, and been in that role for a little over a year now. I was controller before that through most of my career. And we've got some very capable people, and needed to segregate duties beyond that, so we didn't have the CFO role before. We created that. I moved into it, and then promoted some very capable and wonderful employees into the controller role, and so they're managing that day-to-day role, and frees me up to do some other things.
Yeah. Well, I do want to encourage you, and that is, you are in Hardy is in a sphere, a certain business model type that I think of people when they think of trying to buy a car, there's this stigma, right? Because you think, man, there's going to be some kind of chicanery, some kind of wickedness, backhandedness when you go to a dealership to buy a car. And I can honestly say, as a customer, it's not that way. I bought 2 cars from you last year, and both times Graham prayed with us during the process and after the process, right there on the lot. And you go, it's different. It's completely different here. And it was very forthright. Like, here's the deal, here's the price, and it's that doesn't feel sleazy or anything. It's like, it's just a human having interaction with another human, knowing we've got a product we'd like to offer to you. You need something. Let's see if we can make this, a deal and work it out and what's best for both of us.
Well, I appreciate that, Nick. Yeah, you hear horror stories, especially back in the day of people bringing a trade in, and somebody at the dealership throwing the keys up on the roof or something like that. But my experience in our association, Georgia Automobile Dealer Association, I've gotten to meet some wonderful people across the state, and just high character, invest in their communities. Car dealerships invest in their community still. You used to have local banks, which you really don't have anymore. A local pharmacist, which is harder and very harder to come by.
Yeah.
And they supported local community interests and baseball teams and things like that. So
that's right.
I'm very proud to be in the industry that we're in and be able to give back to the community, something that was always important to my papa. And it's a very competitive business, but the interaction with the community and with the customers and battling other dealers in a healthy way, I really enjoy it. So I'm thankful for that, and appreciate you saying that about our employees. We've got a lot of wonderful people.
Do you have a process in place to hire those kinds of people? Because it's uniform across the board. There's either a process in place, or you guys are covering, your business in a lot of prayer, and God's bringing you the right people. I mean, how do you do it?
Well, I mean, we have our days, we fall short for sure. But you know, we've always encouraged our employees, hey, if there's a problem, let's hit it head on.
Yeah.
You know, it's a open environment where if you run into an issue or you have a problem, you can go to your manager. You know, we have an open door policy. Let's figure out how to make it right. Right. Cause, we don't expect everybody to be perfect because none of us are.
Right.
So I just think that the culture that we have, one thing my grandfather did not tolerate was, you know, a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everybody knows that usually when he asked a question, he already knew the answer or he had spent some time researching it to have a good idea.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know, you said, I don't know, but I will do my best to find out and get back to you.
Yeah.
And that's just something we always upheld, is for there to be a culture of honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that if you produce that environment, then, or you help to produce that environment, then people that value that want to be there.
Yeah.
And people that don't.
Yeah.
And so I, you know, looked into Chick-fil-A. How do they get everybody to do that? And, you know, in my experience talking to people, they're like, you know, there's not like a whole ton of training. It's the environment, you know, and if you don't get it and you don't fit into it, and then you don't last.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, same for us. You know, if we approach you about an issue and we talk about it and you don't have the same value set that we do and we're not seeing eye to eye, then you're just not going to last.
Yeah.
And I think that people that appreciate that, they want to stay in that environment. And, you know, we do our best to treat our folks right. And I think that's how you get good people to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Again, people matter, whether it's the customers that you're trying to serve or the employees. You really have to place a high value and worth on people because people do matter. And thank you guys again for how you do serve in the community because you can go to any high school in the area and you'll see these Hardy signs. You guys are always supporting. It was quite comical when we just made the transition over to Dominion. I'm probably going to have Ed Morris on here pretty soon, sometime in July. Awesome. It's going to be great. I can't wait to have him. He was my 8th grade basketball coach, so I can't wait. It's going to be fun. But as we made that transition over to Dominion, and we were all there that first day trying to get things arranged, and one of the guys said, "Hey, why are we right here? Why are we facing this direction?" And I said, "I don't know," but I said, "One thing's for sure." I said, "There's a big Hardy sign up there on the scoreboard." and then I think it was Ed Knox or my dad. They were like, "I bought a truck from there." And the next guy's like, "I bought a truck from there." Everybody's going, "I bought a truck from there." So what you guys do really does matter. It does. It helps so many other people. And you have these serving fingers that go out in the community far more than I think you guys even realize what you're doing. And that's a gift from the Lord. So, Justin, thank you. Thank you for this time. I really do appreciate it. I know as an accountant, this is probably not the first thing that you want to do with your time, but it does serve a purpose to bring much glory and honor to the Lord about what He's done in your life, the life of your family, but also how that branches out. Because you know what? It just takes one to say, "Hey, I want to do something to help." And that can change the lives. It has a ripple effect. It can change the lives of millions of people for years down the road. Even after you're dead and gone, things are still in motion to be a blessing to others. So thank you for taking this time.
I appreciate you.
Really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. As we always say, we need multiple exposures to the gospel. We're praying for you. If you'd like to support the podcast, take a look at the link in the description below. We're praying for you. God bless.